Hey guys, RJ here from the It's a Football Thing podcast. Just here to give a quick match reaction following Chelsea's 4-0 win over Juventus at Stamford Bridge. So first and foremost, a thoroughly dominant display from the mighty Blues at home. But unfortunately, it was not without cost as we saw N'Golo Kante come off in the first half, which appeared to be an innocuous injury. Hopefully it's more precautionary in nature, but I'm sure we'll hear more of it from Thomas Tuchel in the coming days. And also on a more serious note, Ben Chilwell came off in the second half, appearing to sustain a bit of a knee injury. So fingers crossed it isn't as bad as what it looked, because he's been absolutely crucial to our success, along with Reece James, who we'll touch on shortly. Now, I just want to touch on some of the key highlights of the match. So as you can see on the screen here, Trevor Chalobah, what a rise he's been since coming into the first team. It's been his transition has been really seamless, and not only is he doing his primary role in defending very astutely and hasn't really made any crucial errors, but he's also contributing to goals as well. And his half volley for the opener was sublime. I definitely recommend you go check it out. And then the man of the moment, the real RJ, Reece James. What a phenomenal goal. The way he took down the ball with his chest and put so much power behind his shot to dispatch it past a helpless Szczesny, who, to his credit, pulled off a couple of good saves throughout the night, including from Reece. Couldn't do anything to keep the ball out of the back of the net. Then a couple of minutes later, some good link-up play between Hakim Ziyech, who I thought had a pretty positive game, with substitute Loftus-Cheek, for Callum Hudson-Odoi to dispatch it to really put the Blues into clear waters. And then in the final moments of the game, a very nice cross into the path of Timo Werner to seal the deal and really cap off what was a remarkable performance from the home side. So in terms of the actual stats of the game, as you can see here, which I'll bring up now, Chelsea were the dominant team from start to finish. 21 shots to 8 shots on target, 55% possession, which to Juventus's credit, they actually arm wrestled it back up, because at one point they were in the low to mid 30s. So Juventus did try to get more of the ball, but part of that stat, I think, was influenced by the fact Chelsea were taking their foot off the pedal in the back end of that game and relinquished some of the relentless press and allowed Juventus to get more of a foothold in terms of actually maintaining the ball. The passes, Chelsea dominated. The accuracy, slightly better. Fairly even in terms of the fouls count, but the top part of those stats really tell the story just how aggressive and dominant Chelsea were, which is no real surprise given Juventus were without a few of their key players along with Chelsea, but the squad depth between the two sides is very noticeable. Now, you look at the lineup between the two sides, so just to emphasize that point, you can see here Chelsea's lineup was quite strong despite not having a real focal point up top. The back three was always the question mark, because you also have Christensen there, who's been very, very strong, and he's someone that you think would be in there for the long term should he be able to resolve his contract situation. Then you've got the two wing backs, Reece James and Ben Chilwell, who, as I said in my monthly article, they are probably the two first names on the team sheet for Tuchel these days, given that's just how influential they've been. N'Golo Kante and Jorginho, in Europe, arguably the best pivot going around. And the real surprise to see was Pulisic play up front. And I know Tuchel gave us a bit of a teaser with his comments saying he can play in any of those positions. But I was really pleased with the performance of our Moroccan magician, Ziyech, because even though he had a few moments where he's a little bit slower than the rest of the team, he's willing to try the passes that split open the defence. And that pass at the end where he hit it on the outside of his foot to release Aspi was a really great moment to show just how, when he gets it right, he can be a majestic player. But overall, a very positive contribution from Ziyech. Probably should have scored. Nice save again from Szczesny. Hudson-Odoi, of course, he scored the goal and that will be celebrated. But overall, he continues to really take ownership of this role now. And while he's not been perfect, he's definitely shown that he's someone that can be trusted in these forward positions. And hopefully from here on in, he continues to demonstrate that consistency and also really looks to try to make an impact and not play it too safe. In terms of Juventus, when you look at their lineup, it's fair to say that they were setting up in such a way to really be pragmatic and try to defend a winning position, which is not necessarily a bad thing, knowing that they've got the experience to do so. But as it turned out in the game, it was just a little bit too difficult for them, as Chelsea really used their energy, their youthfulness, their dynamism, and their real understanding between one another to really move Juventus and try to disrupt their structure, which for the most part, I thought Juventus did quite a good job in keeping things together and worked really hard off the ball, especially McKennie and Cuadrado. I thought they were having a real handful trying to contain Hudson-Odoi and Chilwell, but they were working really well collectively. And it did take a moment of set-piece brilliance from Chalobah, as I said, with the half volley. Then in the second half, Reece James, who's arguably one of the best players in his position at the moment, along with obviously Cancelo and Alexander-Arnold. But he just looks like a guy who is on the top of his game. Nothing can seem to distract him. And I wrote in a tweet that not even the sky's the limit. And I believe that. He's a top player, and I can't wait to see his meteoric rise continue. But with Juventus, the lineup there, it doesn't scream absolute buzzing or a team that's going to actually cause any mayhem, but there's still enough class and experience up top, and also there was enough experience in the back line and enough energy in the midfield to really do a good job. But unfortunately for them, as I said, Chelsea just too strong, just too on the ball, and really capitalised on the momentum that they generated from the Leicester thrashing. But for me, overall, Chelsea, as I said, thoroughly dominant display. It is a shame with the injuries to Kante and Chilwell. The first one on Kante, as I said, he limped off in the first half. It didn't even look too bad, to be honest. It was quite innocuous, as I mentioned. So hopefully it's more precautionary in nature, knowing that we've got a very congested set of fixtures over the month of December and the remaining of November. Whereas Chilwell, him lying on the floor, him hobbling off and really trying to manage that knee, that was a real cause for concern. So fingers crossed for all Chelsea faithful that his injury looked worse than what it actually was, because along with Reece James, despite the defence being as robust as it is, despite the midfield pivot, how strong they are, the key to our success undoubtedly has been in the wing-back positions. And just quickly on Ben Chilwell, the reason why he's been so important is not only is he someone that has the right stamina and energy to marshal the flanks and really get up and down the line to provide a balance in terms of attack and defence, he's also willing to make those runs centrally, to ask questions of defenders, to drop deep, to receive the ball. He has a really good understanding with his attacking player, whoever is on the left-hand side, and is someone that is going to really try and make a positive impact in terms of trying to score goals and create assists and not play it safe. And he's also got that burst of pace, which is so crucial to help get one over his marker. And we saw it again against Leicester when he got past Albrighton and got checked. And he was making multiple runs in tonight, in and behind the channels, and just causing headaches for Juventus. So his injury is come at a real bad time, knowing the set of fixtures we've got coming up. But hopefully, again, it is something that looks worse than what it actually was. But Chelsea will really have to rely on their squad depth here. So we've got Marcus Alonso, as we know. He's not as dynamic or fluid as Chile, but he is good in attack. So we'll hopefully be able to rely on him to fill the void. And you've also got Azpilicueta. So between them two, knowing the fact that Reece James looks to be performing well, doesn't seem to be showing any signs of fatigue, it's just a matter of whether or not we can rely on those other players to fill the void while Chilwell's out. And fingers crossed, it's only for a short amount of time. But that dampens the mood, yes. But at the same time, let's not take away from the fact that a 4-0 win against a very experienced and still a top quality side in Juventus, especially in Europe. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we now are in pole position to top the group. So it all comes down to the final match day. But given the momentum we've generated, I'm fairly confident that we will get the job done and progress quite easily as group winners. But until then, I look forward to hearing your comments below. And if you haven't had a chance yet, please like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel to reach new people. Take care, guys, and all the best.